My name, most people don't.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Business as a Magical Practice. Today we have a very special guest, Ajani Schultz, and we're going to be talking about how your personal style impacts your business growth. So if you do not know Ajani, she is the Technicolor Priestess, is the creator of the Iconic Essence Framework, a unique process that synergizes personal style and energetics to help her clients become fully self-expressed from the inside out. From international artist and visionary Jessica Sarin to seven-figure pioneering entrepreneur Simone Seol, Ajani's unconventional approach has led her clients to have logic-defying multiple six-figure launches, cross the $1 million mark, and become in-demand influencers, all on their terms. Fuck yeah. It's in the bio, you guys. It's in the bio. The magic begins with one coded outfit. So thank you so much for being here, Ajani.
Thank you, Sam. I'm so giddy. I'm really happy for the invitation. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's such a juicy topic. I was listening to some of your podcast episodes to like get in the vibe, and I'm just, it's going to be a good one, you guys. So like get on your notepad, maybe. So can you tell me how you even got into this work? Are you like from a fashion background, or did you always know that it was impacted with like business, or like tell me all about it?
Yowza. So I have zero fashion background formally. However, I grew up in a family of total fashionistas. So my grandparents in Mexico were total fashionistas. And my grandfather was a tailor, and he was at one point called the best dressed man in Mexico City. And so they loved the razzle dazzle. So I grew up around that. It was like a family value to be beautifully dressed and to be beautiful, whatever, aesthetics. And so from an early age, yeah, it was really fun. So I learned about fit and cut and all these things from my grandfather because it was, so kind of the foundation. And then from my grandmother about the razzle dazzle. But beyond that, from a really young age, I felt the energy and sort of, I didn't know, I would not have put these words to it, right? But the activation, the activating properties that wearing certain things bring. And so from, again, a very young age, I was making people over, anyone I could get my hands on, really, every friend, every cousin, every aunt and uncle, neighbors, roommates, all got makeovers because it felt so satisfying to show them what was possible and how they could feel. So I resisted it for a long time and just saw it as like, oh, it's just whatever. It's just your weird little quirk or a thing you like. It's so fluffy and superficial. I ignored it, as so many of us do, right? The true calling. And I tried to do, go on a conventional path, and eventually I couldn't resist. So one thing led to another. I got a coaching certification. I still resisted it. And then eventually both the woo, the energy work and the clothing piece came in, and that's how I healed myself, honestly. So many of my core wounds were wrapped around beauty and, showing up and getting visible and self-expression. So it helped heal me. And now it's become my life's work up until this point anyway. So yes, conventional path. And then I finally accepted that this is what I actually was passionate about. Long-winded answer. Hopefully I hit something that was.
Oh, no, you did. And it just, what sparked in my brain was how lucky coaches and business owners who are new and like haven't owned a business before, haven't like started their business before, that are coming into this space, how lucky they are to have people, examples who had to go through that deep work of can I be spiritual and weird and out there and successful and make a lot of money? Because there's so many great examples now, like you, Simone. I mean, we could have a full list. So I was just so love it.
Yay, me too.
Then what was it, because you were in a coaching background that you brought fashion into that, or was it something else through your work with clients that you're like, oh, this is so works well for business owners and visibility?
Yeah, it was always ingrained. Like I knew that I could coach people until the cows came home. I could do all that stuff. I could do exactly what I learned in my certification, whatever. But I knew that piece about seeing themselves and expressing themselves and understanding who they were through what they wore was really an essential key piece. So I resisted it. Like I said, I was like, how about I help new moms? How about because I had just had a baby, you know? And I was like, I'm not lit up by that. That's not exciting. How about I help expats? Because I'm an expat. I'll be coach for expats. And I tried that, right? And it's like, no, like it was all mushy. It was all, I was hearing crickets, obviously, because what it was, I was actually passionate about is like dorking out about seeing people see themselves for the first time ever in a really fucking real way with the activating with clothes, right? So the process at first, I was like, I'm going to experiment. I gave way too many people free makeovers mixed with with tapping and all these different things to help them become more confident. And then my own process started emerging. I got certified in Reiki as a Reiki master teacher. And so I started understanding the chakras and how they worked. And then I started making the connection between the chakras and how they express and the earth's elements. And then, oh shit, like if you take that, like a lot of those, obviously the zodiac signs are based on that, like it tells you a lot about a person, right? And so organically, I sort of started downloading these different pieces of my now system where I use the 5 elements, air, water, fire, earth, and space. And I was just like mind blown because I was like, this actually is working, it's helping. So I started peppering it in, doing small kind of closet makeovers or whatever. And then the more I got into it, the more I understood it, the more I saw it working and helping and transforming people. The more fluent I became in it, the more depth it, started to have. And the more it just took on a life of its own when I stopped resisting it, right? As we do. I stopped resisting the shit I actually love. I love watching people get all whatever glamified and feel fucking amazing what they wear and have fun and feel self-expressed. And so that fuels me. And obviously then it helps amplify their results too, So yeah.
So I feel like a theme for the last year with clients for myself, whether they're just starting out in business or they're looking to scale to 7 figures this year and they're already like this much higher level of or further along on their path, has been imposter syndrome and being like, even if they have like all of the success, success,
Both. Yeah.
there we go, to back it up, they're like still like, who am I to teach this? Who would want to work with me, even though they have tons of clients? Like it's been again and again. And this seems like such a thing to address that. And I could see it happening in 2 different ways. Either if you can use your style to tap into who you truly are, then like that could wash away. Or if you're tapping into a future identity or like almost like a alter ego, like that could wash it away. Where do you see that? Like, tell me about imposter syndrome in your style.
Oh boy. Well, imposter syndrome, because how many of us, and this is something that like I was doing too, like when I started my business, I was trying to look how I thought a coach should look because I thought that's how I would fill my practice, right? I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And so I tried to look normal and I tried to be digestible, like easily digestible and understandable. And I tried to like take away all the exclamation points and emojis and excitement and made up words that I tend to use now very freely, right? So I really was dialing myself back because I thought I would not be credible. I wouldn't be taken seriously. And again, who would want to work with me, right? So that part was really, it was really healing to start noticing like, you know what, like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I really am not. And that I was trying so hard to be. And one of my elements is air, which air is like one of the shadows of air is like master people pleasing. I need everyone to like me. Otherwise, why do I even exist? Right. So that was what was fueling me, just doing everything to try to get others to like me. So when I realized that and I was like, and I got okay. And I did a lot of work around not being liked by everyone, right? Not being liked by everyone. That was already like the first part of the freedom, right? Because the reason we feel like imposters is because we're trying so hard to, well, I find with the people who come to me, people are trying so hard to appear normal and to use normal metrics and to fit into the box and to have these strategies work for them like they work for all these other people, right? And they notice that even if it works, they're still not happy. There's still something missing. There's still something that's off about how they feel and how they're living, right? It still hasn't quite, something's still off, right? And so you're going to you feel like you're an imposter. You feel like you're a phony. You feel like you're a liar. You feel when you're continuously trying to fit yourself into a mold that isn't yours. Like no, none of us are supposed to fit into a mold. That's the thing, right? So of course we feel like imposters. So the more you try to fit in and try to blend in and try to follow the formula, the ickier you're going to feel, the more the longer you're going to feel blocked and like something's missing. So once I started understanding that, because I was like, why am I so into breaking the rules? Like that was my big thing. I want to fucking break all the rules. I want to break the fashion rules. I want to break the business rules, all these things, right? Once I started really just owning that, it's like, it gives people permission to, of course we're supposed to break the rules. Like in order for you to be your biggest, most amazing, fully expressed, fully embodied self and to reach your full potentiality, you must break the rules because they're here to actually keep us small. They're here to keep us right under that glass ceiling. So, and that's scary shit. And again, I don't even know if I answered the question, Sam, but I went a riffing.
One thing you started talking about the elements, and I know from looking at your work that the elements are a huge part of it, but you were just like sprinkle it in there, like everyone knows what you're talking about. So
I know, I'll talk about it. Yeah, maybe I'll explain. So basically, in my journey, I started seeing the characteristics of the elements as I started doing Reiki, and for me, like in the style world, like it didn't resonate for me to go get to become a classic stylist, traditional stylist, because I was like, that's more
and by
rules.
elements, wait, and by elements, we're talking about like the earth elements of
earth elements,
water, fire.
Exactly, air, water, fire, earth, and space. So there were only the four elements at first, and I was like, that's not the whole story, right? And then I thought about, like the crown chakra and how that's like the ethers, and I was like, that's a whole other way of expressing. There are people here who are connected to that, and so I brought that in because that, and that's so many of my people end up being space. So air, water, fire, earth, and space. Each person I have found leads visually and energetically with their expression here on this earth with two of those. And it's the way that those two come together and play that open up a magical portal to your iconic energy, to your iconic essence. So no one else, even if they share your elements, expresses them like you do. But they guide you and they have certain sort of characteristics, their consciousnesses that help you activate these different parts of yourself for your unique energetic, signature. So there, I gave some context. So that's what I mean by this. So
what is iconic essence?
So your iconic essence is that singular, distinct, inimitable, je ne sais quoi, your it factor, the thing that really makes you you, that really is just hard to describe because it's so distinctly yours. So it's what attracts people. It's those subtleties. It's you when you're humming at your highest, most truthful frequency and vibration, really. Yeah.
So the elements opens that up. There we go.
Yeah. So the two elements, they come together. So a lot of times we are taught that one of the elements is safer than the other, right? So like example, if somebody is fire and water, very typically you're going to ignore the shit out of fire because fire is dangerous. It's mesmerizing. It's always pushing the edge. It's flashy. It's loud, right? It's direct. It's sexy. So it's raw, it's primal. So all these traits of fire, we're taught like those are bad. They're going to make you undesirable. They're going to scare people off. You're going to end up alone and unlovable if you're fire, right? Someone's going to get burned. And so if you're fire and water, you're going to subconsciously probably learn that it's safer to be water. Water is soft, water is feminine, water is gentle, it's comfortable, water is warm hug energy. And so of course, that's going to make you more easily digestible, acceptable to people around you. And so you will do everything you can to ignore the fire pieces until you can't anymore, right? And so once we start bringing the fire back, that starts completing your energetic, essence, fingerprint. And so fire and water can come together. And it's almost like I always imagine it like on an Indiana Jones movie. He's looking for this like crystal, right? And once they have this other crystal, they put them both in that sacred ancient ruin, and then it turns something and it opens up and then suddenly like this magical loon light is, beam is shining in and everything is saved, right? So it's kind of like that. Like they come together when you allow them to express fully and you embrace them, they come together and unlock something like totally mind-blowing. and you discover yourself, your truth in a whole new way. And it does have ripple effects, not only from how you dress, but it starts, and we could talk more about this, but it starts rippling out into how you do business as well. Everything changes once you see that. You can't unsee it.
Can you give some examples from clients of, anonymous, of course, but of what it looks like in the transformation process from this is how they were before and we unlocked this and this is how they live after?
Absolutely. So I just have one example that's always mind blowing. So when he came to me, he was a relationship coach, helping, people find love. And so he was always dressed in like gray, like comfy worn t-shirts, and all his photos are like this, just very, very
For
sweet.
people
And
listening, she's like her hands are in her palm, and it looks very PG.
Very PG, right? Like, I'm going to help you find love. So it was very muted. It was very, very approachable, very that warm hug energy, right? But he was not really signing very many clients. His price point was like, I think to work with him was like 3,000 or something for 6 months, which whatever, where he was, that isn't where he wanted to be. And he felt like he was hustling a lot to try to get clients. And he felt also like when he was talking about his offers, like it felt kind of watered down, right? It kind of felt mushy and like, kind of generic. And he knew that he had so much power and so much more to offer, right? So, and he's brilliant. So, what happened is we discovered, so one thing that space can do, so space, air, water, fire, earth, and space often loves, just like monochromatics and very sort of neutral colors. However, when it wants to hide, space wants to appear normal, it can sort of dial it down and look super casual and very kind of blendy-inny. And so he was doing that. He's space and air. And then his air was like, I'm just going to be super nice and likable and, be everyone's friend. And that'll get me lots of clients, right? So his thing was not active, like he was not activated. So once he understood he is space, and space is a visionary, space is avant-garde, space is here to usher in new ways of doing things, new everything, right? It's here to like shake shit up and just innovate, right? And to be a little off-putting and a little awkward and a little really unusual to make people uncomfortable. That's one of space's, those are space's superpowers and purposes, right? And then air can be super exciting and lit up and like confetti energy, right? Like for air energy, I call it effervescence. Because it's like when you open champagne and there are those dancing bubbles, right? So once he tapped into that, we started playing with his clothing. He started putting outfits together, knowing that those were his elements, right? What happened next was just like mind fucking blowing. So once he started dressing like that, we had a few iterations, right? He was playing, because sometimes, it obviously takes a while to learn this new information and integrate it. So after a couple of iterations of ordering clothes and trying them on and seeing what fit, he came up with such a distinct, unique, like unforgettable look and brand. His entire business. So not only did his whole brand change, it became very high fashion, very edgy, very avant-garde, and very like and just happy and weird and quirky, right? But super expressed. His business totally transformed. So he really took ownership of like being this visionary guru, and immediately he started filling, group programs. He started filling. So I think he had a client at one point that was like 80K. He had all these people, he filled up. So 6-figure launches just right off the bat. And he couldn't believe it. And he just, and here's the beautiful thing. He also was holding back on talking about the woo, the spirituality, the weird cosmic shit. And he unleashed his space and just started letting all that out. And of course, he's like, it's like magnetic. He's irresistible. And he continues to fill things. He was having people beg, like, please, can I work with you? Please, like really. And this shit is still going on. So just that's one really clear, fun example.
That's a fun example. Awesome. What else? I want to hear another one.
Another one. Well, I mean, obviously Simone is an amazing, example also. She she is fire and space. So fire again, edgy, fierce, really direct. So we helped her really ignite that more and bring that out more, right? And then space is again unusual, innovative, the visionary. So she started trusting herself and owning that more, showing up in that way, applying those sorts of principles and how not only she structured her business, but how she created her programs, right? And I mean, she's unstoppable. I mean, she just keeps going, right? The more and more she's like really kind of sinks into that and really trusts the fuck out of it. Her business just continues to expand exponentially, right?
That's so good. Okay, thank you. So let's
My
actually
pleasure.
I hear it like appeasing my like curiosity. But let's actually get into how your personal style impacts your business growth. What can people look out for and start digging into?
Yeah. So what I would invite people to do is right now, I would bet that the way you're dressing is a reflection of the identity that you've constructed, that you think you need to construct in order to stay safe, loved, successful, whatever it is, in order to be you, right? You have created this identity, and the way you're dressing right now is simply a reflection of that sort of constructed it, right? Because everyone is complicit. Your family, your community, maybe your partner, right? Everyone has helped you not only create but maintain that identity. So when you start stepping out and asking, okay, do I actually like one thing, like, do I actually like what's in my closet? My big question, as you know, there you can hear already lots of F-bombs, but my big meaningful question is always, is this a fuck yeah? Is this a fuck yeah? So literally going through your closet, is this shirt a fuck yeah? No, it's not actually a fuck. I don't feel that truth, that yes, that knowing inside of me. So okay, I'm going to put it aside. If you go through and do that with a lot of your closet, you'll see how many out of alignment pieces you're probably dressing in. And out of alignment pieces mean out of alignment in your energy and how you're showing up. And of course, that pours into your business, right? If you're approaching everything from the lens of that constructed identity, from how you dress to how you present to what you're selling, then it can't possibly be totally fully aligned and in truth, right? So
Do you ever work with, so something I do a lot is working with my future self and like have clients work with their future selves as this being able to resource wisdom from that person. And I've done some stuff with my closet of like, if I have my future self in mind, going through and being like, is this aligned with that? How does that play in? Is that irrelevant to what you're talking about? Or is that maybe a different lens to look through?
no, they're one in this. I love that. So one of the sort of guiding principles that I love to live by is that we also don't need to be linear. Like all of this, like so iconic you is who iconic. I help people to really step into their iconic essence, their most iconic selves. So iconic you, as we know, there are many timelines and dimensions, right? So iconic you is already living out everything you desire at different stages of it, right? So absolutely tap in, ask iconic you, is this like a fuck yeah? Is this meant for me? Should I do I need to bring this in now? Like guide me, iconic me, like how do we dress today for maximum impact? So yeah, so it's same future, truth self, most aligned self, iconic self. Absolutely. So I love that you do that, and you do get so much wisdom when you ask. And what I have found also is talking to your elements, actually. So the most neglected element, for example, whatever, fire in the example I was giving, right? What fire, water. Fire, what do you need today? Fire, what would really support you today in my closet so I can get closer to my iconic self, right? How can fire, what do you want to express? What do you require today for us to be at our most iconic?
That's great. Because a lot of times we're suppressing parts of ourselves that need to come out. So if you almost need that when you're making the first transition, so that you're not just leaning, is the fuck yeah your old self, or is the fuck yeah like the fire part of you that needs to come out? And I'm guessing it's kind of the same thing with when you're now shopping, because okay, let's say step one is getting stuff out of your closet. Now you're like, I don't have any pants anymore, shit.
Yeah.
So you're bringing the fuck yeah into the shopping.
Oh, fuck yeah, you are. Yeah. So step one is really getting clear, like, okay, what are my elements really? What are my elements and which one have I been neglecting? And I'm going to start healing that relationship. I'm going to start getting to know that element and bringing them in, right? And so I'm going to go through my closet and feel into the fuck. I'm going to take my brain out of my head and I'm just going to tap into my inner knowing. Is this a fuck yeah or is it not, right? And then you do a cull, a declutter, and you see what's left. And sometimes I advise actually like not maybe giving everything to the Goodwill, like not donating everything or giving it away. Keep a not yet pile in another area, right? Just play with your closet as it is. And if you notice, like you said, oh shit, now I don't have any bottoms, no pants. Then what you do is you very clear, because it's all manifesting, it's all magic, all of it. So you can actually just say, hey, iconic me or elements, let's go shopping. Let's bring in some fuck yeah pants. So I'm going to calibrate. I'm going to go to the mall, or I'm going to go online, and I'm asking you to guide me to the fuck yeah bottoms that are just going to take me to the next level, right? And on shopping online, for example, I invite my clients always to go and do an energetic scan. We don't want to use your brain. Your brain's going to talk you into, it can talk you into or out of anything, right? So you do an energy scan, you scroll through, and when you feel that tug, you stop, put it in your cart. Doesn't need to make logical sense. And then you go, 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 go. Okay, stop. I would have never selected that, but I'm going to trust. I'm going to put it in my cart. And after you've done that for a while, sometimes at first, so it's not overwhelming, you set a timer, 20 minutes or whatever. Then after the timer goes off, you go to your cart and then you reassess again. Okay, what are my top fuck yeahs, right? What are the real fuck yeahs in here? And that's how you shop. Energy shopping, intuitive shopping. That's it. And when you, okay, yeah. It avoids decision fatigue. Let me tell you. Yeah. And what you
keep going.
No, it's okay. You got me all worked up now, Sam. So I've got lots to say. But so when you do that, you find like maybe your brain, like your logical right now, you doesn't understand how it's all going to come together. But once it all comes, it's like iconic you is always steps ahead and knows exactly what you're stepping into. So those pieces and how they're meant to go together and for what and when, all those things, they just start to come together. And it's a really cool, exciting experience.
Oh, I love that so much. And you have a quiz, right? So for people to find their elements. Yeah.
Yep.
So
yep,
that's
yep.
And so that's first step one. Everyone go take the quiz.
Yes. Thank you. That's actually step one. So yeah, you find and you go through it twice because we lead with 2 elements. And I would invite you when you get to the quiz, do not let brain take over, because again, your brain can talk you into being any of the elements. So I often have people like being like, I think I'm 4 of the elements. Is that possible? I'm like, we're all of the elements. Your brain's trying to confuse you to keep you from knowing this stuff, right? Because it's big shit. So go through and just like the energy scan, right? Which answer just really calls out to you? That's it. And trust that, no braining, because it can talk you into and out of anything. So just trust your inner knowing, and it might even feel kind of random. Just scan the answers and choose that way. Go through it twice and then see how those feel. Like, do those elements feel like truth? And then you proceed from there.
So I'm an astrology lover, and I'm wondering if your astrology chart plays into your elements at all.
So that's interesting. Sometimes, and actually I've been toying with the idea of like doing a big survey to ask people their signs, their rising, all those things, and then see what correlates. So sometimes it is amazing, like yes, and sometimes it doesn't correlate. So and I have a theory on why. So for example, I am triple air, all my signs air. So, and one of my elements is air. So I think there was so much air. It's like, yeah, no matter what you do, air is going to be whatever. So for me, like when we really tap in and like zone into hone into your essence, like your essence is what you carry with you. Like if you strip everything down, your body, everything, and you're like this beautiful light energy being floating around the universe, that's your essence to me, right? So no matter how many times you're born, on what planets, at what time periods, whatever, that essence is the very core of everything, right? You might be a different, whatever, gender, size, shape, be in different countries, whatever. You're born into that lifetime, and that's your astrology, right? For that lifetime. But I feel your essence carries over from lifetime to lifetime. So it's sort of how that's what I've kind of uncovered or have felt over the time.
To take the is and like see how it compares to my astrology.
Me too. Yeah, let me know. Let me know. I'm very curious too. I am very curious.
Oh, that's so fun. And so after someone goes through this process of really like connecting into their elements and their iconic essence and being fuck yeah across the board,
Mhm.
do you still see that people are pushing back in terms of like it's not safe to be this yet, or does it like always just activate of like this feels so completely me that I'm all in?
Both kind of. Sometimes it's like, wow, this is so completely me, but I'm actually terrified to, like, I can own it, like personally, but I'm still afraid to put it in my marketing. I'm still afraid to dress that way. I'm still afraid to sort of, show it in an outward kind of way, because there's still, sometimes there can be a lot of work about the external judgments. And because what happens a lot is you totally transform how you're dressing, how you're speaking. And so obviously those who have known you, they're going to be really inconvenienced. They're going to be like, what the fuck? Like, I thought I knew all, like, I thought I had you, like, I knew this, like, that was comfy for me. Why are you changing things up on me? Right. So it can happen where there's resistance and then boom, I'm just going to do it. It can happen where it takes a really long time and baby steps to sort of ease into bringing in that neglected element, and kind of getting used to it and slowly letting it kind of permeate. And then I have other clients who it's just like, literally, like I had a client, oh my gosh, we did 2 months together. And the list of stuff she did when she discovered she was fire, she's fire and water. So but in true fire nature, it's like, it was mind blowing. Like everything she did in those 2 months, like dyed her hair, got her whatever, teeth fixed, bought a new car, like a convertible, totally upgraded her wardrobe, totally changed her packet. Like everything was like fire, fire, fire. Because a lot of times also it's like finally that element that's been neglected gets to come out and just blow up and play and do everything. And then it kind of evens out with the other one and they start working together, right? But so everyone's a little bit different, but yes, there is resistance. Yes, there's fear. And yes, it is a process. And also many iterations happen also, right? As you continue, but it's kind of forever work in that way, that it just continues to evolve like over time in so many different ways.
Wow. Well, I'm shocked that you gave such a clear roadmap in like 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
No, I like that. Like that feels so clear of like really practical steps that people can do, and to start working with this and start really like I guess giving themselves permission to be their iconic self and like all the reasons why like this will definitely impact your business in terms of like magnetizing people towards you and being more visible and getting more eyes on you and having more success. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you. I saw for a second you're about to say something. I was like, oh. But so I have a few closing questions that I ask everyone at the end. The first one is, what is the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now, and how are you tackling it?
Right now I'm at a point where I have had a year and a half of just like mind-blowing growth and expansion. So right now, really my focus is getting my shit together, like behind the scenes, hiring the right people, getting, my fuck yeah people, knowing what I maybe need that I don't even know I need yet, because I have never been at this level before in my business. So that's sort of what I'm navigating right now, even just I guess the technicalities, the logistics, the streamlining of processes. And so really the structural part, because like I said earlier, I'm air, and air is not really about structure. I'm just like, let's have fun and be spontaneous.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten to the point where I can't do, it's not sustainable anymore, right? So I have to take it out of being a boutique mom and pop shop kind of, way of running things to a well-oiled machine. So that's what I'm focusing.
Yeah, and that's where your business can hold the element of earth, so you can still be your free air self.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Well said. So I need that structure to be able to continue to swirl around in my air, right? And in my space also, and to innovate and do all that magical stuff.
It's almost like the masculine and feminine too, because a lot of feminine business owners want to be able to be that visionary CEO. They want to be able to express and move as they like, and they need that like masculine structure of like, oh, this is actually the foundational stuff that's holding the container of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
do you have any books that you want to recommend to people listening, and why?
Ooh, the first one that comes to my mind is Busting Loose from the Money Game. Have you heard of
You're
that
the
one?
second person in 2 days who's mentioned that I've never heard before. It's good.
You know what? You will be turned off by the cover. You'll be like, are you serious? Take the cover off. Take the cover off. It looks like a 90s like business infomercial or something. Like I don't know why they went with that cover, but it is one of the like just it really talks about like deconstructing everything we've learned about what this reality and how it's pretty much just all made up. So that's my Jimmy Jam, but he explains it so beautifully. I would that's one that I recommend to all my clients because it's really about stepping out of convention, stepping out of the rules, stepping out of all this made upness. So you can finally step into playing this life in your own way, right? Making it your game instead of all the made up rules. So one of my favorite pieces basically says that the way like money works is basically like baseball. Baseball, literally someone sat down, made up a bunch of arbitrary rules. And those are the rules you stick to because that's how baseball is played, right? So it's the same with money. It's the same with how you live your life. And we can, once you realize that, like you start stepping out of that and it changes everything.
That's so fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to read that. Any other books you want to recommend?
What else do I recommend? Let me see. Out of my topsies, I love everything Florence Scovel Shinn. Yeah.
Her right now, actually. She's over
You're
there.
Yeah. I love her. She's a good time. Always good foundation, right?
Awesome. And then what have been your favorite purchases recently for life and business?
Ooh, let's see. I'm looking around right now. For life, I'm always buying ridiculous glasses. So I just ordered a bunch of those, of new ones. So that's for life.
Are they prescription glasses or are they just
Not even a little bit. They're just ridiculous because glasses.
love it?
So I love the glasses. They make me very happy. And then for business, I just purchased my first sort of, in the spirit of getting organized and streamlined, online sort of platform for a membership and just to have everything living in one place. I had never had that before.
Which one did you choose?
I chose Kartra.
Okay, nice.
Because my daughter is a fan of She-Ra and she loves Catra, and it just reminds me of Catra. That's literally why I bought it.
I love that was your deciding factor. It's so good.
I was like, it reminds me of that, so we're going with it.
Love it. Okay. Well, where can everyone find you on the internet and start working with you? Where can they do the quiz, all the things?
Yes, so the quiz, you can go to my website, so technicolorpriestess.com, and there's a little tabby poo that says quiz. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm Eugenie.Schultz. Is that true? Or you can type in Technicolor Priestess. And on Facebook. And I also have a free group called Dress Your Way to Six Figures and Beyond that you can join for
nice
fun and
title.
shenanigans there. Thank you. I was proud. I high-fived myself when I came up with that.
It's always good with like those copy moments. You're like, oh, that was good.
Yes, I was like, zing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was incredibly practical and spatial, if we're going to bring in the element of space. I know that people will have so much to activate from here and take your quiz and all the things. Do you have any final messages for those listening?
Yes, I would just love to invite you to remember that everything you need to know about everything you already know. So you already fucking know it. It's a matter of just trusting the shit out of yourself. And once you trust deeply, everything changes. If you're like beginning a business and you can just start trusting yourself in those weird hits and those intuitions and those drops and those downloads now, scary as it might seem, like everything will be accelerated. So your business accelerator is like amazing self-trust.
So good. Well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening, and I will see you next week.